You are tracking the footsteps of new black characters. Where are they? They passed this way, the day before yesterday. They met someone they did not expect.
Does that comfort you?
Who are you? Show yourself! It cannot be.
Forgive me. I mistook you for the Black Comic. I am the Black Comic. Or rather, the Black Comic as it should have been. Now this is how you make a good SJW comic. This is how you do it. By telling the classic story with some great art, great world building, and a character you can actually care about. I know that doesn't sound like an SJW comic, but that's totally how excellence is pitched. It's from Image's Skybound line, and all the promo material talks about how it's made entirely by creators of color. It was created by Kerry Randolph and Brandon Thomas. Brandon writes it, Kerry draws, and the colors are done by Emilio Lopez. The whole gimmick on only working with minorities is tired and technically racist, but sometimes it works, and boy does it work here. This book is the shit. It's everything the Black Comic wishes it could be. Completely black cast? Check. Interesting world building? Check. A play on classic tropes? Check. Solid use of fantasy elements? Check. A likable main character you can actually care about and root for? Check. The story is so simple, it's not even going to take me any time to explain it. There's a secret society of magicians called Aegis. They go unseen, using their magic to protect those they deem worthy. Spencer Dale comes from a powerful family, but he's a very late bloomer. After struggling for a decade to manifest his power, he finally manages to qualify for the test to join the Aegis. He manages to pass, just barely, but finds out that winning comes with a cost. His grandmother, the only one who's ever believed in him, falls ill, and none of the Aegis will use their magic to save her because it's forbidden. So Spencer sets out to defy the system he struggled to join. Simple, to-the-point story. Brandon Thomas does this by using that classic trope of the ne'er-do-well son. He's supposed to be the golden child, but year after year he fails to show any progress. His father begins to doubt him, even turns his attention to another student named Aaron Mills, and this just makes Spencer feel totally ashamed. And of course, shame leads to anger, and he finds his power. What's cool about this is that Brandon does this in just 7 pages, most of it in captions, and the art sells it. He does a quick 2-page montage of Spencer aging panel by panel, and Kerry, the artist, shows Spencer becoming more and more frustrated with each panel. You don't have to read a word, you can just look at it and tell exactly what's going on. And then, just as you think you know where this is going, Brandon weaves it back onto itself because Spencer's anger isn't enough to get him through. His father basically has Aaron kick his ass for years, and the humiliation makes Spencer angrier, but the anger holds him back. Once he learns to let it go, he's ready. He's free. It only took 10 years. All that is character building. You're already interested in this guy. You want to know his story. So much so that you probably forgot that this is pretty much an SJW themed book. That's how you fucking do it. Right there. Kwanzaa Sajefo. Call Brandon Thomas, and when he picks up, the only words that should come out of your mouth are Sifu, Sensei, Master, Teach me. Cause this man knows his shit. And we still got 20 pages to go, by the way. We ain't even in the story yet. This is just setting the stage. And speaking of setting the stage, Kerry's artwork is just awesome. He's the one who drew the covers for the Black Comic, so these guys literally all know each other. SJWs do tend to group together. But nutty politics aside, I couldn't find a boring panel in this book. The art is that good. It's fresh, dynamic, it's visual storytelling, which is always key for me. Like I said before, you can look at the panels and know what's going on. And then there are little touches that are thrown in there, like Spencer's father using his magic to block the rain. Little things like that are always cool. Although, since they're supposed to be unseen, it looks like he's breaking the rules because you can totally see that. Kerry's detailing, expressions, backgrounds, they're all top notch. The thing I take away from his work is that he actually cares. You can compare his art to some of the other SJW art out there, and there's no comparison. He trounces them because he cares. He wants his best work to be shown, so that's what he does. When it needs to have impact, he brings it. When he can get away with simplifying things, he does. It's economic, but also strategic. There's passion in the work, the same as with Brandon, and it's contagious. They're giving you the best that they've got, so it makes you want to read more. And that's what we get. Spencer's grandmother cuts his hair before he goes to take his test, and we do get a little bit of forced cursing. I mean, grandmamas do sometimes swear like a sailor, but it feels out of place because that hasn't been the tone up to this point. It's like it's there just to have it there, even though that may very well be her character. That said, the scene still does a good job of showing Spencer having a relationship with someone, and it does it well enough so that when Grandmama gets sick at the end of the issue, we know what it's going to do to Spencer. A little quick point here though about Spencer. He's supposed to be 15. That nigga looks 35. To be more precise, that nigga looks like Michael B. Jordan. Actually, all the dudes in this comic kind of look like Michael B. Jordan. I know you want this to be made into a movie or TV show, but come on. There are other black actors in Hollywood. I can't name them either, but they are there. Just saying, he doesn't have to look like Michael B. Jordan, but if he does, make him look like a 15-year-old, not like a dude who's been going to titty bars since St. Obama, hallowed be his name, became president. He looks old enough to have a 15-year-old son. Come on. Moving on, Spencer shows up for the test and gets into this magical matrix where he has to protect one of the only 2 white people in the comic. Specifically, he has to make sure that this guy proposes to this pretty white girl. This is where we learn about the Aegis and their job. Basically, each one is assigned to protect someone at all costs, and it seems like they're guardian angels, but ones who can only help certain people. And I've got a sneaking suspicion that all those people might be white. I could be wrong, but I don't think Spencer's charge being generic white dude 34 is an accident. So he gets thrown in to stop these rogue Aegis who turn from the path, and he's literally thrown into traffic. He does this dramatic flip to dodge a car, and then he gets points deducted because he's supposed to go unseen. He gets chided for that, and he's like, I bet you didn't throw everybody else into traffic. The fight goes down, and we get to see some cool powers. And then Spencer gets cornered, and we find out that whatever damage he takes here will carry over into the real world. The guys he's fighting are actually fellow members of his group, including Aaron Mills, who volunteered to kick Spencer's ass. Again. And that's what they set about doing. They pin him down and wail on him, hoping to break him, literally and figuratively. And they've just about got him. He loses his wand and then gets reprimanded from the guys above that he has 18 seconds to get his wand back or he's out. That is fucked up. So then we get this little flashback to Spencer with his grandmother, and she reveals a secret. Because Spencer is from one of the oldest bloodlines, he doesn't really need the wand to use magic. The wand is just a way for them, and it's not really clear who they are, probably white people, to monitor and control whoever uses it. Specifically, it makes sure that they're only helping those they've been told to help. And there's more to this secret. It plays against the rules. The powers that be will fail anyone who uses magic without using the wand in a test. But if it's done as a sacrifice to protect their charge, well... So that's what Spencer does. He breaks the floor, causing the pretty white girl to fall, and Aaron uses magic to make generic white dude save her. Aaron's sure that Spencer's failed, but Spencer says that the guy will never let her out of his sight again, and will never be this terrified in his life again. And because of that, Spencer passes, and moves from the position of rook to patron, and will get his charge assignment within the week. He gets this moment of solidarity with his father, finally being accepted and living up to his father's expectations, and then he gets hit with the news that Grandma's in the hospital. Spencer wants to use magic to heal her, but is forbidden, and his father refuses. He tells Spencer that they, again it's not really clear who he means, could take away the family's name and power. The family could be nothing far easier than they could be something. Spencer's not having it though and storms out, and the issue ends with a 4-year time jump and Spencer taken down to his knees by these glowy blue guys. That's a hell of a setup. There's a great world building all throughout the book. It's not just things like the unseen families. You got things like these tall buildings they call columns where they store their magic gear. Do normal people see these? If they do, what do they think they are? How are the Aegis covering for themselves? Who are all the families shown on that family tree? Just how does magic work if wands aren't really needed? There are these rules called the 4 walls shown at the beginning of the comic, and one of them is that women aren't allowed to use magic. Well, Spencer's grandmother is totally using magic, so what's up with that? Why are women barred from using magic? These are all questions I'm asking, not because the story's unclear, but because these are questions I want to know. That's good storytelling. It's the difference between asking why Tyrion suddenly becomes an incompetent moron versus who is Jon Snow's mother. One is pointing out a story flaw, the other is pointing out a solid, interesting plot point. I'm saying this to everyone, but really, I'm just speaking to you, Kwanzaa, because I know you're listening. This is how you should have set up your world. Everything Brandon Thomas did in one issue, you either crammed into a few panels or failed to do at all. All those questions about who Kareem is, his motivations, his desires, his relationships, Brandon answers with Spencer. It's all there. Setting up the world, setting up the power system, how their magic works, setting up the rules of the world. Who knows and doesn't know about them? It's all there. You have just as much information as you need to tell the story. Everything else is gone. Also gone is the overt politics. I'm guessing that there's probably a whitey be evil angle to the end of this, but that's just because I know the creator's politics, not because it's in the book. It's not in the book. You can kinda say saving the white people is that, but not really. It's not conclusive. So if the politics are there, they're very, very subtle. It's not the in-your-face stuff that you did. This is how you tell the story. Make people care about the character. Make them want to follow his journey. Use the classic tropes and archetypes. They've existed this long for a reason. They work. Give the reader something to chew on, something that will stay with them, and they will come back for more. I'm getting a second issue. I want to know what happens next. I recommend everybody buy this book. If you like action comics, if you like fantasy comics, this is your shit. This is exactly what you want. Yeah, it's got an SJW angle, but even the broken clock is right twice a day. Unless it's digital, then it's only once. But what do I know? I'm just some guy.